Guys, let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Aaron Vogler, I know you're there, bro. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm gonna send over a link to our special guest that's going to be joining me on the call today. Sent. Guys, what's going on? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Let me pull this up. Beautiful. Aaron Vogler says another great Monday. Another great Monday, guys. Future developer. Can you guys hear me? Hear you great. Crystal clear. Amazing. You guys already knew I was going to ask. Let me go ahead and get the mic a little bit closer. I figured out what was going on last week with the mic. There's a little short in it. Little teeny short in the mic. So I just had to kind of twist it around a bit. We're good to go. Aaron Vogler, thanks for being on as always. Future developer. What's going on? Tanner, Slavic, what's going on? Slavicek. Yemi, what's up? Giovanni Perez, Michael Willett, Greg Goulet. Guys, we got a nice crowd today. I have got a special guest joining us today. I think I need to get this dry cleaned. It's been a minute, but I am excited. Let me put this on Do Not Disturb. It's already on. Let me push record and let's go. Okay, give me 1 second here. Let me push record. Amazing. Guys, welcome to the call. This is episode 35. Episode 35 of the DRE show, DRE show, digital real estate show. For the one person who does not know what we mean when we say digital real estate, it is the very simple business model of building simple assets, building simple, tiny websites, ranking them on Google, and renting out the leads, the phone calls that come from these websites to local business owners for a set amount of money each and every single month or each and every single week. That is what we're talking about in this show. It is the business model of the future. It is the greatest business model on the internet. It is the business model that if you are looking for a side hustle, if you're looking to make money on the internet and you're watching this and it's 2023, this is the model because it holds something that these other models do not. And the number one thing that this model has that sets it apart from every other model, SEO agency, SMMA agency, drop shipping, print on demand, MLM, is that you have control and you have assets. You have something at the end of the day, it is paying you passively. You have something that at the end of the day, you could sell. You have something that allows you to have control that if Bill decides he doesn't want to pay you, well, we're going to go over to Frank. So guys, with that said, I got a few things I want to cover really quick. A few things that I want to share. Then I'm going to bring on our special guest who's been in this game since before this game even existed. And we are going to rip. We're going to be talking about a number of different things. Let me outline a few of the things we're going to be talking about. AI and what we believe AI is going to do to this industry, to this model, how it's going to affect it. We're going to be talking about saturation. I know everyone wants to know, is this saturated? How saturated? When's it going to be saturated? We're going to be talking about the current state of GMB or GBP. We'll be discussing paid ads. We'll be talking about SEO tips and tricks. Things that you may or may not be realizing that you can do that don't cost you anything that can generate even more phone calls or get you ranked that much quicker. Okay. We're going to be talking about hot niches. We're also going to be talking about a number of other things that I'm not even going to outline because I want it to be a surprise and I don't know how much time we're going to have. So guys, really quick, let me know one more time in the chat if you can hear me. Let's see what we got. Andy Bateman, what is going on? Good to see you. Ron Nava, what's going on? Brandon Drake, week one for this guy. Brandon Drake, excited to have you on as a week one. Curtis Horn, what's going on? Slovacek, sorry for the pronunciation mistake, but good to have you on. Bun Stacks. Bun Stacks, I can already tell you're going to be a problem for this thread, but I'm okay with the jokes. But you can actually pick up a Versace robe at any of your local Versace dealers in any of your local malls. For me, it's Vegas. but whatever your local mall is, you can go and pick one up. They're actually quite comfortable. Yemi says, Herc Magnus by any chance? Guy's a legend. You're going to find out soon. Future Developer said, did you ever try running Facebook ads instead of Google ads? Trust me, we've tried everything. I'll get into that soon. Everyone says that they can hear me. Good, pumped to hear you. My name is Marcus. Marcus, welcome to the call. Okay, guys, let's do this. I want to cover one or two things, and then we're going to jump right into it. So number one, guys, I said this last week, and I say this every week as well. Thank you guys for being on the call. Thank you guys for being on the show. I know I sound like a broken drum, a broken record, but as much as I act like a total douchebag 99.99999% of the time, I also do understand and do realize how valuable time is. And so each one of you guys, and I see your names. I know who you are. I see you every single week. I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate you commenting and getting more eyeballs and pushing this show further by being here. And I don't forget that. So just remember that all of you guys that consistently show up, I will not forget that. I appreciate you. And I will make sure as my commitment that I will always deliver. I will always bring value. And I will always, no matter whether you end up buying something that I'm selling, whatever that is, whether it's today, tomorrow, whatever, or maybe you never do. If you do or not, I will bring value to you. Okay. I will make sure that when you come on this show, you will get something that you can take and you can make money. Maybe that day it's motivation. Maybe it's a little fire under your ass to get up and get going. Maybe it's a new trick, a new tweak, a new hack that I've discovered. Maybe it's bringing somebody from my network onto this show so that you guys have access. You guys can hear them. Maybe you whatever. I will always bring value. I spend time preparing for these. I think about these. The second this show ends today, I'm going to be thinking about next week. What are we talking about next week? Guys, this is the 35th week in a row that we've done this show, okay? 15 more weeks, 15, 17 more weeks, and we've done this consistently for a year. And it's interesting, and I want you guys to notice that I want you guys to pay attention to this. Those of you that have been on here from day one, Aaron Vogler, Yemi, I've seen your name a ton, Andy Bateman, as of late, I've seen you every single time. If I missed anyone, I apologize, but I recognize you guys. This is some of the ones that just came to my mind. Guys, it's all about putting in consistent effort. It's all about putting in the right effort over an extended period of time. I started this show whenever it was, 35 weeks ago, okay? I wanted to be able to come on. I wanted to start this show because I wanted to be able to talk about all things digital real estate. I wanted to have the show that I wish would have been available, that on Monday morning, I could have hopped on YouTube, I could have tuned in, and I could have got my daily dose of latest and greatest on the industry, hot niches, what to avoid, what to do, whatever, right? All the different things. I wish I would have been able to get advice from somebody who had made millions of dollars doing the business model, not just teaching the business model, guys. And so what I want to say is, as I say that, as that leads into my second part of this before we get into the call and bring in our second guest, but I want you guys to realize that I'm different, okay? And I'm going to say this, but I'm also going to have you, I don't want you to just to believe me. I want you to try and prove me wrong. I want you to take what I'm about to say, and I want you to think about it, and I want you to internalize it, and I want you to intuitively think, is what he's saying true, and does it make sense? Okay, guys, when I say I'm different, I don't mean because I wear a Versace bathrobe or because I bleach my hair from time to time. That's easy. Okay, what makes me different than every other person on the internet that's teaching any business model for that matter, but specifically this model, the rent then rank business model, the greatest business model on the internet. As I titled this stream, the simplest, unsexy, I could probably add uncool and boring underground business model on the internet. The one that has literally gotten me out of debt, the one that has allowed me to do all the incredible experiences and give my family the life that we have, that model, okay? What makes me different than everybody else is that I am still in the game, baby. I'm still in the game. I'm not somebody who decided that now that they're teaching it, they're going to exit the game. They're going to hang up their jersey and put themselves in the Hall of Fame and say, yeah, when I was in the game, that's what we used to do. Oh, back when I was building my agency, and check out of the game. Guys, imagine, I just want you to think about this. Imagine if I wasn't in the game. Imagine if I wasn't running ads every day. Imagine if I wasn't dealing with Google My Business stuff, if I wasn't dealing with organic ranking stuff, if I wasn't looking at new niches, if I wasn't cold calling business owners, how would I give you guys advice, relevant advice? How could you trust anything that I said? How could you take anything that I said as something? How could you believe anything that I said when I've been out of the game for years and years and years? If I wasn't in the game every single week, guys, this business, the internet changes so fast. This business model has changed multiple times since I started doing it. It has changed a lot even since I started teaching it. Hell, it has changed a lot in the last 6 months. We are facing challenges that we weren't facing before. Things that we were facing have become easier with a couple of different tweaks. How on earth are some of you guys, and I don't mean necessarily the people that are on this call, because those of you on this call are obviously listening to what I'm saying, or at least you're on these calls consistently, so you're hearing what I'm saying. Maybe you're not listening or you're not practicing. How are you guys taking the advice or listening to some of these morons who aren't in the game? It's laughable. If I was out of the game, if I stopped doing this business model for a freaking year, I would be irrelevant. What I said would be irrelevant. What I talked about in terms of SEO would be irrelevant. What I talked about in terms of my cold calling script would be irrelevant. What I talked about in terms of what works with ads and niches and how business owners are responding would be irrelevant. So guys, before you go and say, yeah, because sometimes I get these people that message me and they say, hey, I found your content or I heard about the business model because I listened to a podcast that you did. And I've been consuming all of different people's content on the internet, this guy and that gal and this guy and this gal. And I'm like, dude, why? Before you listen to anything, you should question that person. If you're brand new on the show, this is your very first day listening to me, I want you to ask yourself, why should I listen to this guy? Why should I listen to this guy? Because it's pretty cheap and it's pretty easy to grab a mic and to get a computer and turn on the camera and go live and talk about stuff, guys. But I want you to think about, what have I done in this business model? Okay. And the people that you're listening to, what have they done in the past? What are they doing in the current? Okay. And what are they going to do in the future? Are they still in the game? And if they're not, why are you listening to them? Okay. The game has changed so much. It is irrelevant. This last week, in the last 7 days, since we did the show, okay, we've pitched deals. My agency, my company has pitched deals, okay? New business owners. We're actively looking for new business owners. In the last week, we've hired a new closer. We've hired a new setter and trained the new setter, okay? In the last week, on Friday, let me tell you this as I round out this part of the show and we get in with our guest. Guys, Friday, at 10:30 a.m. MST. I remember it like yesterday because it was not that long ago, and because honestly, it brought me back to the beginning. But on Friday, guess who did cold calls? Guess who did cold calls for their agency? Guess who doesn't need to do cold calls because they have setters that will do the cold calls that are getting paid? This guy. Why in the hell would I do cold calls? Why would I spend my time? Now, I'm not saying it's something that I want to do every day. It's not something that I should do every day. I don't think it's the best use of time for me every single day. But I did cold calls as recently as Friday because I wanted to make sure it'd been too long. It had been too long since I'd done that aspect of the business. It had been too long since I'd used my script that I give everyone in Digital Landlords. And I was like, you know what? I need to get out there. I need to get a list. I need to get my freaking phone out. I need to just go. I need to make some phone calls and I need to make sure the script still works. See if we need to make some tweaks. See if business owners are responding any differently. Guys, guess what? Guess what niche I called for? Concrete. The niche that everyone says is saturated. I called on a concrete niche with a list exactly how I talk about building it. I only called people that are already paying for ads. And I spent time on Friday and hooked 2 business owners. It took me 2 calls. I did 2 calls. I hooked 2 business owners. Your boy's still in the game and he still got it. Let me get a drink of this. Let's go. All I'm saying is before you take advice from anyone, I don't care if you're trying to get a new physique and you're trying to get in the best shape of your life. I don't care if you're trying to invest money in the stock market or with a financial advisor into whatever these things are called. I don't even know the little, I don't know, whatever investments there are, or whether you're trying to start a business. Okay. And maybe you watch this and you're like, this business model isn't for me and I want to go do SMMA. Great. Go do it. You'll be back. But if you decide to do it, all I'm going to tell you is make sure that the person you decide to listen to is in the game. Make sure the person that you decide to listen to has made the kind of money that you desire to make, because if not, what are you doing? Okay, guys, with that said, let's go. Let's bring on our guest today. One last time, guys, let me know if you can hear me in the comments. I want you to start dropping your questions. This is going to be a banger. We got 42 minutes to rip. And let me see. I'm here for what you think on GMB. Hi, Nick. We're not going anywhere. All chips are in on this. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Guys, we got a nice crew out. Somebody says, remember, if you're a newbie, Nick is your competition. What chances do you have? W knows. That would be the case if we were facing saturation. If there was one niche and one city and you were going up against me, you'd get your ass kicked. Okay. The beautiful part is, we're going to talk about this in just a moment, is that this niche this business model is not saturated. There's plenty to go around for everyone. Guess what hasn't been affected? Since I started teaching this, and I've seen, I don't know how many hundreds of people now jump in the game from me. And I don't know how many that have jumped in the game just for my free group or my free content. Guess who's still continued to ink deals? Guess who's continued to ink deals in the same niches that he was doing in 2020? Who's continued to week after week grow their agency and not even have to do it themselves, but now been able to train their team to do it? This guy. So I understand what you're saying. However, Mr. W knows, who's somehow bringing some negativity here. I don't know what your comment is, my friend. But yeah, if you're going to compete with me in a niche in a city, you're going to lose. You're just going to lose. But that's not the case. There's how many niches? There's thousands of niches. There's thousands of cities. There's how many countries? Okay. So we're going to get to that. In fact, I want you to bring that question up. I want you to bring that question up and ask me about saturation. And I'm going to ask our guest. With that said, guys, let me bring him on and let's freaking rip. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All right. We're joining the man. Okay. Let me know if you guys can see me. If you guys can still hear me. Herc Magnus, what's going on, bro?
Hey,
what's up, bro?
Hey, man, how are you doing?
Dude, I'm doing amazing. How are you, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy Father's Day.
Thanks, dude. Thanks, dude. I actually kind of forgot it was Father's Day yesterday, and then my wife's like, "Hey, happy Father's Day." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." How's the youngin' doing?
She's doing good, man. She's doing real good. She's sleeping well, eating well, so she's kind of we're kind of lucky in that regard.
Dude, for those that are on this right now, that are watching this live, if you don't have kids, you don't appreciate good sleepers, good eaters until you have one that's not. and then you're like, dude, we just didn't appreciate it. But anyway, Herc, I got you live on here. I mentioned that we had a special guest coming on, and somebody in the comments, I think it was Yemi, said it wouldn't happen to be Herc Magnus, would it? I'm like, we'll find out here in just a second. So you are a legend, my friend. We got a lot I want to cover. I know you're busy. I just want to say I appreciate you for being on this call. And we're gonna go and talk about a lot of stuff today. So guys, this is Herc Magnus. I'm gonna ask him. I got a ton of questions. I know you guys probably have questions, but why don't we start off, dude, and just kind of give everyone the rundown. First of all, tell everyone how long you've been in the online game, because I think that's the most impressive part. How long you've been doing Rank and Rent, and just kind of catch everyone up to speed of how you got to where you're at today.
So I've been doing online marketing basically since I was about 18 or 19 years old, when the internet first happened. I was at college at the time, got a computer, and I was looking up boobs and tits. And I was 18 years old, of course.
I love the realness, bro. Keep going.
And yeah, and then I saw one of those banners. It was like, make money, right? And it was like an affiliate program. And that's what hooked me. And I kind of just been down that path ever since. So I'm 45 years old now. So that's what, over two and a half decades of online marketing experience now, turned it into a complete living. I started off with things like list building and affiliate marketing and stuff like that, and just slowly transitioned over time. I got into search engine optimization probably about 10 years ago now, with little affiliate and AdSense sites, and kind of went down this path of trying something, hitting a wall, trying something new, hitting a wall, and just kept learning and learning and learning. Opened up an SEO agency, scaled that up huge. And then I just hated having bosses, and then I was just finally like, I don't know whether I created the term or I thought of the term or it was already there, but I was like, why don't I build the sites first, rent them to the client? So I kind of tried that strategy, and it went really, really well. And kind of where I got somewhat known is once I was able to like successfully start building sites, ranking them in Google, I realized there's a process to this. It's not guesswork anymore. It's just a process of analyzing data and doing the right thing. So I started automating processes through software development, met my partner, Todd Spears. And then from there on, him and I just really have been focused in the last 6-7 years now on improving our software for specifically lead gen, rank and rent style, local SEO style stuff. It does apply to affiliate marketing, because I mean, SEO is SEO. It doesn't matter what you're targeting. It's keyword research, on page, off page. So we've been doing that. So it's been kind of a just go with the flow kind of journey, and go with the path of least resistance for me, because I hate working hard and I hate not getting results. And
yeah. Well, dude, so guys, we're talking about somebody who's been, and what's funny is like, you're not giving yourself enough credit, but let's be real. You probably were doing rank and rent before the term rank and rent was ever a thing. And I know you're being humble about that, but I mean, you've been doing this a long time, a lot longer than I have. And so one of the things that I wanted to point out here, guys, is when Herc and I initially connected, I can't remember. I think I hit you up and I was like, dude, we should jump on a Zoom and just chat. What's so interesting about these spaces on the internet, whether it's the affiliate marketing world, SMMA, rank and rent, is people, they have such a scarcity mentality. And it's like, well, because I teach rank and rent, then I can't talk to Herc because he's my guys. Just so you know, we're going to be discussing, Herc has some incredible software products that we're going to be talking about today. He also has a program called Rank and Rent Club. And some of you guys are going to watch this video today and you're going to go, you know what? I like the model. You're a little bit too much for me, Nick. This is more my style. And I'm 100% okay with that, because that's just how it goes, guys. I just want people to get into the model. So I'm telling you that, Herc, as well. I got no problem. We're going to be discussing some of the stuff you have, your program, your softwares. We're going to plug it. And if anyone's interested, you guys should go check it out. So the point of this whole thing is quit having such a scarcity mentality. Right before we hopped on, I brought you on, Herc, somebody had commented and said, imagine, guys, you guys are about to hop into this space and Nick is your competition. It's like, dude, there's so many niches. There's thousands of niches. There's thousands of cities. There's hundreds of countries we haven't even seen if this works in yet, which I'm sure it will. And we got to get out of this scarcity mentality and realize we can all take our little slice of the pie, and you can make lots of money in a handful of niches. So anyway, dude, let's not be shy about talking about those. I'm excited to hear the update. I know last time we discussed, you were working on some of that stuff and just improving. But I want to just start with a few questions for you, and then we'll just kind of see where this goes. Is that cool?
Yep.
Okay, so dude, let's start off by talking about a couple of the elephants that I think everyone's kind of just discussing in corners of the internet, or whether maybe they're on the phone, on Zoom. But let's talk about AI. Let's talk about ChatGPT, what you think, what it is doing to this business model, what it's going to do to this business model. Should we be scared of it? Should we be excited for it? Give us the rundown. And again, I know that you're someone that does SEO, affiliate, your rank and rent, a number of different things, but we all know rank and rent has just so many boxes that are checked that other ones don't. But How do you think that's going to affect rank and rent specifically? And what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not afraid of it at all. I think I'll start with this. I've been doing this for so long, and I've seen, maybe nothing as big as the AI movement, but I've seen a lot of things come and go. I've seen a lot of the sky is falling scenarios happen. PBN deextendations and Google updates and duplicate sites, core sites, mass page buildings, all this stuff. And I always see kind of two groups of people who deal with things as they happen, and people who don't take action because of the fear and the chatter. And they feel like, oh, if I do this, I'm just going to be wasting my time because, bad things are going to happen. And it's the people who don't take action out of fear that they just never get anywhere. The people who take action, even if things don't work out, they're still way, way ahead. The AI thing for me is just like, yeah, it's coming. Like it's already here. It's massive. We've already integrated, a big portion of our software into it. And then I'm hearing lots of people saying, Google doesn't like AI content, or, you have to pass originality AI scores if you're going to use content so that's human readable. And you hear all these stories and you hear all these things. So I set out to kind of disprove that. And I disproved so many things in my career with just things that people are commonly thinking that you can't do, that you can. And the last site that we built, we're doing every month, we have something inside a Rank and Rent Club called a Masterclass live series, where all it is I come on live, we find a niche, we build a website, we rank it, you know what I mean? And we teach people, they're watching me work essentially. And the last one that we started was because of you, Nick, actually. I was like, I'm going to go into Nick's niche. I know he loves concrete. So I went and found a killer niche in Pittsburgh in concrete. And I set out to build this site using our tool, which is integrated with AI. So the AI does keyword research, keyword clustering, optimizes all the pages, writes all the content, and writes all the schema. So it's 100% AI generated site. And its main keyword is ranking number 9 on the first page of Google. And the site's not even 45 days old with no backlinks. So it's a brand new domain. No backlinks, 100% AI content, already ranking number 9. Sorry?
In Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's not an easy city to rank. That's crazy, dude.
See, here's the thing. I used to think this. I used to think that you shouldn't go after big cities because there's big competition. And what I've learned in my life is it doesn't matter the city. It matters the first page of Google for the keyword. So if you can find a keyword that has low competition, it doesn't matter where it is. If it has traffic and it's profitable, it doesn't matter where it is. As long as the first page is somewhat easy to rank for, you can get there.
I agree with that. People always say, what population should you target? And I've been in courses and programs that are like, you should do this population. I'm like, who cares about the population? It matters about how competitive that first page is, because let's be honest. If you go to some really obscure niches are wide open in big cities. Yeah. And vice versa. So I 1000% agree. It matters on how competitive it is on that first page.
Here's a good one. I'll drop a niche for you guys right now because there's no search volume right now because it's such a new product, but it's coming and it's coming big.
Let's hear it.
I don't know. When I first lived in Phoenix, I went to Phoenix and lived there in the winters. I'm living in Canada. I would go to playgrounds, and I never saw this before, but they created this surface for playgrounds that was basically recycled tires broken down into little rubber bits so that the playground surfaces were very soft, right? Okay. So if the kids fell off the jungle gym or whatever, they landed on, really soft rubber.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone's ever seen that, but now I'm starting to see that being used as driveways, as sidewalks, as decorative patios in people's homes. So it's moving from a commercial kind of thing to a residential style of thing for people. There's no search volume for it that I've seen anywhere, but it's rubber paving is what it is. And it's starting to pop up in Canada faster than the States, which is kind of weird. Maybe because in Canada, we have like insane weather fluctuations, and concrete and paving, they crack and they crumble, but this rubber paving has flex, right? So it's more seasonally beneficial. So it's coming, and that's kind of one of those niches that you're talking about. It won't matter what city you're in if you're first.
Interesting. I'm looking right now at just looking at like Google Trends and stuff. So that would the proper term would be called rubber paving.
That's what from my research. I only did a little bit of it, but yeah, that's from what I'm seeing is there's rubber paving starting to pop up.
That's cool. There you guys
it's got zero search volume, and it's coming.
That was one of the questions. Let's spend a little bit of time on that. One of the things I was going to ask you was some of the niches that are kind of on your radar. So rubber paving, guys, for anyone that maybe jumped on just barely, essentially, if I'm not mistaken, Herc, is that playground surface where it's almost like you can bounce on it, right? It's not quite trampoline, but there's a little bounce in it, right? And yeah, it's very good. It's very good when you have little kids because they're freaking smacking their head when they fall off the monkey bars or whatever. So they're bringing that, and people are starting to use it on driveways, etc.
Because they're so durable, they're weatherproof, they have a long life, they're cheap, they're nice. You can get them in any color, any pattern. So it's an industry that I believe is, and it comes from recycled tires, which is good for the environment. So there's the whole feel good element to it. So there's a lot of benefits there, but it's a niche that's a brand new niche that nobody really knows about or ever talks about.
So this is back to our point, dude. And this is another thing we're going to discuss today is saturation. Like we haven't even considered the fact of new industries that are going to pop up, right? Yeah, that's something that 10 years ago wasn't even a thing. That may be who knows? This could be the next concrete or whatever, or that everyone targets. And all of a sudden, how many of us are going to make how much money in this one specific industry? So guys, anyway, let's stay on niches for just a second. Any other niches that you are focusing on? Maybe they're just the everyday niche that people have already heard of. Maybe they're unique niches. What other niches are on your radar?
Another really unique low competition one is radon. So radon mitigation, radon testing. I was on a training webinar teaching people how to do that initial niche research. And I always say it comes down to two things. You got to be profitable and you got to be easy to rank. That makes your life way easier. And I was teaching them how to go niche hunting. So find a niche. And all I would say is go into a big city like New York, because New York will have every type of business just because they're big. But you want to set your keyword search volumes to a lower volume. So say between like 100 and 400, set your CPCs high so that there's bidders. And then what comes out in our tool is the word New York is included in every keyword, but then just a shit ton of niches, right? Then once you find a niche, you're like, okay, well, New York's hard. Put the niche back into the tool, and now it lists out all the cities that match those criteria. And New Jersey came up, which is no small place. And the first page was one of the weakest competition first pages I'd ever seen. So I started looking at radon. So tons of, radon mitigation, radon detection. I don't even know what it is. And to be honest, I don't even give a shit. Like I'm only here to make money, not to learn about industries. Like you got to know somewhat of things, but yeah, radon's another good one. And the true answer to your question is I don't really give a shit about the niche. I give a shit about the profitability and the competition. It's not like I'm like when I find a good niche, I just stick to that and
just find it yourself. Yeah,
no, man, I'll go after anything and everything as long as it's profitable and easy to rank. The one thing I will say though is the more and more that I do this, the more and more that I go through the sales process, I try to think of the person who, like when someone lands on the website and calls, okay, if I had a client, when that client answers the phone, who's answering the phone? Is it the front desk? Is it the reception? Is it a salesperson? I try to think of niches where the person answering the phone is going to be the guy who's going to be, or the woman or whatever is going to be doing the service itself, because that's the end of the line in the decision-making process. The guy is like, hey, so-and-so, like that's the owner of the business. If it's a smaller business with like maybe an owner and a small crew or something like that, they're too busy doing jobs to know marketing. They probably need help with marketing, right? If you find their website on Yellow Pages or on the 10th page of Google, they need help with marketing, and you're the answer to that. So I don't like doing stuff where there's big reception desks to get through. Big companies that have like 50, 100 staff, because they have marketing budgets, they have marketing people. They're going to be harder to sell to. So even in another good niche that's kind of under, and you never hear people talk about it, is like if you think of your wife, your girlfriend, the women in the world and all the stuff they do, right? They get these things that I've never even heard of, like microdermabrasion and cool sculpting and all these like services. Women pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for this shit, and they just love it, right? But the ladies that are in the office doing these things, they're typically small businesses in a local little town. They broke free and I'm going to open my own business and do microdermabrasion or whatever it is. They don't know marketing. They might have had a website up, but it's not great. And it's, you know what I mean? So when you call that number, that girl's going to pick up the phone and you say, listen, I got, 5 leads here. I want to send you to see if I can have a conversation with you later on. That's all I want to do. Give you 5 leads. And we'll talk later on if you like them. And that kind of niches. So that's kind of how I approach things is like that.
I love that. It's funny because you and we've only had a few conversations. I think we've only Zoomed one time. So we haven't never even talked about this, but all of the advice that you're giving right now of like what you look for in a niche is exactly the same advice I give. It's like, there's got to be volume. You can't go into a niche where there's no volume. It's got to be high ticket and it's got to be low competition. If you can find that magic little formula, you are onto something that's going to pay you a lot of money. So,
and the funny thing about that, sorry to interrupt, is when you talk about scarcity mentality, let me put it this way. Like you said, there's thousands of types of businesses. There's thousands of locations in the US, but here's something that a lot of people don't think about. I have a website in the catering niche in Stamford, Connecticut, and the first page of that website ranks for, I think, 16 different variations of a single word that mean, like catering Stamford, Connecticut caterers, caterer in Stamford, Connecticut. Each one of those words is an opportunity in itself, not just, if someone comes along and says, oh, someone's ranking for a caterer in Stamford, Connecticut, that niche is done. It's not. Find a new way. People don't all type the same thing on their keyboards to look for this business. They type hundreds of different things. So that creates hundreds of different opportunities for one business in one location. There is no scarcity in rank and rent. There's only opportunity.
And even a step past that, because I 1000% agree with you, is I used to think if I'm doing my research, let's say I'm doing catering in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I see somebody else, I'm like, oh, that's a lead generator. I would immediately just go and go and move on. And what I realized, I'm like, one day I was doing a tree service, some research on a tree service niche, and I saw this lead generator. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll try to buy the website. I found out who owned it. I messaged them on Facebook, whatever, and they basically told me to go freaking eat rocks. They're not selling it. So then I called the website and I realized that they didn't even have a business owner. Like they had not successfully found a business owner to take these leads. So I said, you know what? Since they were being dicks about it, I'm just going to go give them a run for their money. And I went in, built the website, got a client, and literally had that client from March 2020 until just recently when they went a different direction, kind of got big. When they get big enough, they start doing their own thing and whatever, bring someone in-house. We had that client for almost 3 years. And I almost didn't go into that city. And this is at $1,000 a month. I almost didn't go to that city because I saw another lead generator. So there's different layers to this, guys. Just because you see it looks competitive for one specific keyword, like Kirk saying, there's other variations. And just because you see a lead generator doesn't mean that you can't go in there. You only need to work with one business owner to make $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 per month. And there's room for everybody. And we're all talking about the same niches. Imagine when we start looking at stuff like what do we call it? Concrete. Is it concrete paving? Rubber paving.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, so let's talk about saturation for a second. This is a question I hear all the time. It's usually from people who just heard about the model. All of a sudden, it's like you never heard of it. You hear about it. You're like, oh, this is the best business model ever. But then you get into like a Facebook group or you start watching some YouTube and then you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's doing this business model. But what you don't understand is it's this little tiny corner of the internet. So what are your thoughts? And you kind of alluded to it already, but like when somebody comes to you and says, oh, this business model is saturated, you should have got into it in 2014. What is your response to that?
I'd say like everybody who's doing it successfully has the exact point of view that you do, number one. And it's funny that successful people don't think it's saturated, whereas somebody who's trying to break into it is thinking it's saturated. So number one, you're talking from a place of inexperience, not experience. You're talking from a place of fear, right? And I think also probably talking from a place of ignorance of, I used to think SEO was really hard, right? I used to think like, oh my God, this is so hard. I'm never going to be able to learn it. But as you go and you learn things and you get better at things, I'm to the point now where it's like, I'll see I'll spend 10 seconds looking at the first page of Google for a keyword, and I'll know with almost 100% accuracy whether I'll be able to rank on it or not. And that's just from experience, right? From the experience of doing things. So it's like, and then I go out and I build tools to kind of a different style of keyword research tools to help me find those easy rankers, because I realized easy rankers actually have kind of a genetic makeup, and that experience taught me that. Like, okay, so we built a tool to use the genetic makeup to find these tools, and all of a sudden, where I used to struggle to find a good niche, I'm like, there's so many niches now. It's like, it's insane. And I think that, 10 years down the road, like where I am today, you think there would be less, but there's not. There's more. There's better ways of finding them. So a lot of it is like the person's, they don't even know what's possible. They're just inexperienced. You know what I mean? They're just afraid, and education and knowing a lot about this industry and how it works will open them up, right? But if you're closed, and you're scared, then it's just not going to work for you, right? You have to go into it with an open mindset. And this is one analogy that I love to say. If I'm standing in a room of 1,000 people and I say, look, this thing is hard. This thing, whatever the thing is, it's hard. Has anybody in this room of 1,000 people successfully done this thing? And one person raises their hand, and that's it. The other 999 have tried and failed. That means it's possible. Yep. And I'm going to go talk to that one guy, and I'm going to learn from that one guy, right? Whereas all the 999, oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, he's crazy. That's kind of the way I approach things. If one person can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to know what they do and do what they do. And that's how I approach this whole thing.
It's like, I heard somebody say this the other day, because I'm following you, and I couldn't agree more. It's like when maybe, I'm sure you can relate to this, Herc, but I remember when I was just broke as a joke, $60,000 in debt, barely paying the bills, just trying to cobble together some SEO clients to just keep my wife off my back of like, where do we have enough money? Yeah. And I remember at that time in my life, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like everyone is just, this is just the shitty existence, and like everyone's broke and all this different stuff. And I knew very, very few people that had money. And it's like now that, and by the way, guys, I've said this before, I don't feel in any way that I'm some big fish. I'm just a little guppy that's very hungry, but just getting started. But now that I do have money, it's like, I look around, I'm like, man, there's so many people that have just found these little teeny niches and have just made so much money. And it's like, there's rich people everywhere. There's people that have money everywhere. And so it's like, that the people I feel like that have that scarcity mentality of hey, this is saturated and whatever, it's always the people, just as Herc just barely said, that aren't in it, ironically, that aren't in it or are in it and haven't had that success yet. Because as soon as you have success, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much opportunity here. We haven't even talked about other countries. We haven't even talked about other niches. We haven't even talked about the fact that there's more and more business owners coming online every single day. We haven't talked about the fact that in a recession, more people start businesses because they're tired of putting their livelihood in their boss's hand. So I think I've created like 3-4 YouTube videos on the topic of saturation alone, just because I got so tired of people asking me if it's saturated. I just wanted to send them a link. But guys, just be logical about it. Just be logical. I think we get in, we're surrounded by 100 people that are in this space, and all of a sudden it's like everyone's in it. No, they're not. Go ask 10 people today. Go ask the next 10 people that you find, that you meet, that you talk to. Say, hey, guy, have you heard of rank and rent? They're going to say no. What are you talking about? What's rank and rent? And then tell those same 10 people exactly what this model is. You build simple assets, you rank them, you sell them for a monthly fee, and it's 90+% profit margins. Every single one of them is going to go, dude, that's brilliant. And that's going to tell you right there that this thing's getting ready to explode. We haven't even scratched the surface, in my opinion, but I believe this is going to be way bigger than the drop shippings and the this and the that, in my opinion.
Except for that one guy who's just a constant worrier about, well, you got to consider this and you got to consider that. And it's like, well, you're afraid of everything. You've never done it, but you have all this information in your mind about what it's going to be like.
That one
doesn't
guy
even make sense, man.
The one guy that you're referring to, though, has done that with everything in their life, and they're going to wake up and be whatever age and have never started anything. So there's variables with anything, guys. Just like I had this conversation with someone the other day. It's like, there is risk. If you think there's not risk in you working at a job, I love how people say that's the safe route. That's the most riskiest thing you can do, is go and work for somebody else, because they have all control. Going and working for somebody else is like having an SEO client that could fire your ass at any time. It's crazy. But for some reason, we get this in our head that it's risky to start a business, and there's always going to be some downside. So let me ask this one last question, and then we're going to get into the Q&A from anyone that's live. What do you think is the downside? I want to be real here, because any business model that doesn't have downside is a scam. I always talk about what I think the downside is, but what do you think is the downside about Rank and Rent?
The downside. Well, I could tell people what I think their biggest obstacles are going to be, and there's two of them. Number one is,
let's go hand in
I mean,
hand.
there's no downside to me. Number one, okay, I love this model, but okay, for someone coming in, the two major hurdles that you're going to have to overcome from my model are, number one, you're going to have to learn technical SEO, which encompasses a lot of things, keyword research, on page, off page, design, WordPress, right? Like, ball it all into one thing. Getting a site to generate leads means either, you do your model, but in my model, we rank it organically. That's tough for some people because they don't know these skills. They can be learned. And if you're committed, you will. The next one is, once you're there, being able to sell or get the deal on the site. And those are always the two things. And from my experience and the people that I teach, so far, people are much better at learning how to rank a site than they are at learning how to sell them. So if you beat the first obstacle, that's the easy one. Now you got to learn how to sell the sites. Those are easy too, but it's a skill. The downside to Rank and Rent, I don't know, man. I've gone back and forth with Rank and Rent. I went into it, I left it, I did this, that. I love it. There's no downside to this business except for you got to commit.
Here's what I think is the downside. And I love what you said. I agree with that. And I would also say with the technical aspect, because I was somebody who didn't even know what a domain was. Like, I knew that there was something called a website, www, but 7 years ago, I didn't know that's what a domain was. So I was not technical at all. But I believe that if you get good at picking the right city niche combination, you don't have to be perfect at the technical side because your competition's so low. So but it does take some learning. But I think if you get good at that, then you can curb a lot of that. And I also think on the sales aspect, if you send the leads in advance, as we do, it carries you, and you can do a lot of things wrong and still get the deal. But when I say downside, here's the thing that I think is the biggest downside with this. The fact that it's so easy to get started is a great thing. But on the other hand, because it doesn't cost that much money to get started, because anyone listening right now could literally start their own Rank and Rent business today, people don't treat it like a business. They treat it as a little hobby, a little side thing. And that, in my opinion, is the biggest downside, because if you were going to use this example all the time, if you were going to go start a Jimmy John's or a McDonald's, you would need $500,000 or $1.2 million cash. You'd have to sign a lease. You'd have to hire employees. You'd have to get insurance. You'd have to tell all your friends and family. You'd have to actually commit, because you have to make it work. And we get into this and we're like, oh, I spent a couple $100 getting a site up. It doesn't work. And so then we get people that are like, yeah, that business model doesn't work. It's like, how long did you try it? How much effort did you do? And did you even take any training on how to do it? Or did you just assume by watching one YouTube video that Herc put up or I put up, you should be making millions of dollars? Moron.
I don't see that as a downside of the model, though. I see that as a downside of the person.
No, I totally agree. But what I'm saying is, like, that's the biggest thing that I've seen in this is, like, it's a great thing that it's so easy, but I truly do wish there was more red tape to get started, because it would weed out some of the schmucks. But anyway,
you know what I've learned from software development? Here's what I've learned because software development has taught me a lot about everything as well. And it's that there's so many people that will buy a product and never use it. They will never even try. They'll get sold on the idea, or they love the idea and they'll buy it, and then they'll shelf it. And they're always like, yeah, I'm going to get around to that. Yeah, I'm going to get around to that. You know what I mean? Like, I could tell you our software is the greatest thing on the planet, and that if you just use it and follow these 4 simple instructions, your website's going to rank really, really high. And I'm going to make a bunch of sales by doing that, because number one, it's true. But there's just people that are just going to do nothing, right? And they're going to be like, yeah, that software is a piece of shit, and they're going to leave a negative review.
Yeah.
Right. Or they'll try it.
Meanwhile, you've got people that are crushing it with using your same software that are raving fans of it.
Exactly. So it's like, it's back to that 1 in 1,000 thing for me again. It's like, look, you only need one person in 1,000 or that 10,000 or 100,000 to say that something works and to have it work. And then if it works, it works. Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? And
Yes.
yeah, like I don't see a downside. I think the fact that this business is easy should be encouraging to people.
Yeah, no. And that's why I say it's like a catch-22, because that if I make my list of like why you should get into it, why it's one you should look at, it's because it's easy to get into, but I also think it attracts some of the
shitty people.
But the last thing I want to say, and by the way, there's people asking about what your software is called. We're going to plug all that here in just a moment. But I picked up on something that you said, and I did the same thing. You said you were in Rank and Rent, you left it, you came back. Dude, I see this happen over and over. You know what I did? I got into Rank and Rent. It looked amazing. Everything checked the boxes. I got in, and then all of a sudden I got distracted and I started chasing. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this other thing. And I got distracted. But what I see is people always come back to this business model. So just funny that you as everyone else, exact same thing. It's just what happens. Shiny object syndrome is a real disease.
Yeah, I mean, even still today, I'm out there testing like I do affiliate shit. Like I'm a software developer, so I have to like develop my software for a wider market. So I know like there's a big affiliate world of SEO out there, and affiliate SEO is a lot harder. Okay. But if you understand how to do Rank and Rant, and this is one of the things I love about Rank and Rant, if you truly understand what it takes to build a website and rank it in Google, those are fundamental knowledge principles. They apply everywhere. Yes. Right? That's one knowledge set that applies everywhere. Whether you're going to go help an agency, whether you're going to build a site for an affiliate marketing, e-com store, whatever, those same fundamentals apply everywhere. So I'm still building software to appease the affiliate crowd, doing some affiliate stuff here and there, and it's all the same. It's just that Rank and Rent is so easy. Like that site that I built with AI, like the tools are getting better that we're developing to make things so easy. Like I've never ranked a site on the first page of Google in this amount of time with as little effort I put in. I put in less than 60 minutes of work to build out the entire site because AI did it all. And it's ranking on the first page of Google with 0 backlinks. I've never put in that little work. Now I know what I'm doing, right? Of course. And now I had the help of AI to like reduce the workload, but it's just too easy. It's just too easy. And I'm in the concrete industry in Pittsburgh, and you know what that's worth.
Oh yeah. I mean, you look at the job size, you look at the search volume, you do the math. It's worth a lot of money. So here's what I want to do really quick. So I know that everyone's time is valuable. I want to take 1 or 2 questions. Then we're gonna let them know where they can get more information on your softwares. Herc also has a Facebook group, just like I do, which you guys should you should be in all of them. And again, as I said in the beginning, some of you guys are gonna love the model and love the message, but you're not necessarily going to love the messenger. And I'm okay with that. And Herc might be your guy, and that's why we bring him on. So let me see. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to go through a few of these questions. Let's answer 1 or 2 of these, and then we will let them know where they can get more information. Let's talk about this really quick because I know, let's see, where are we at here? Greg says, what is your min max pop? Well, we just talked about this. It's not about population, Greg. It's about search volume, and it's about competition. I'm not even going to go into that.
Can I clarify that point a little bit though?
Please.
Min population, max population, all they're going to do is increase or decrease the likelihood that the first page will be competitive. That's it. It doesn't guarantee anything.
And it increases the likelihood because there's always those anomalies. But yes. Okay. What's your advice for someone who doesn't understand the technical side at all, but is good in sales?
Learn SEO.
Beautiful.
That's so easy.
Yeah. Very, very simple. Very, very, very simple. Okay. Let's see what else we got. That same person, Mr. Suri, said the guitars are awesome. Magnus should play something for us. Dude, you are a big guitar junkie, right? You're big into music.
I'm an I'm still a musician, but I'm an ex-touring rock musician. When I was making like on the internet, I was making maybe $1,000-$1,500 a month. I was very, very happy living super cheap because I was doing full-time music for like, I left the internet marketing thing because I wanted to pursue my music career, but I didn't leave like completely. I stayed enough to make like 1,500 to $2,000 a month, which was like, that's all I need. Like, you know what I mean? Now I can play music and do that shit. So I'm a big time musician. Yeah.
That's what's cool about this model is you see people from all different walks of life. And like, we all got into this to be able to pay our bills, escape the rat race, and do the things that we love to do. One last thing I want to mention on that same question about your advice for someone who says, this is one thing that I've noticed about people too, Perk, is I hear people often, they say to me, I know the sales, but I don't know the technical. And I'm like, okay, do you know the sales? What kind of sales experience do you have? Because I know for me personally, I did 4 years of what I would argue the hardest sales ever. That's going door to door, selling something that people didn't want, no data, didn't know anyone that was interested, didn't have anything at all. And I was good at that. I made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing door to door sales. I got into this and selling technical products, selling something that's not a physical product, not something where you're in person. It kicked my ass. It took me a while. So what I would argue is that you may have done sales, but please just don't tell me that you were somebody that worked at GNC or Staples and helped someone pick out their paper or their pen or their protein powder. That ain't sales. Okay. Yeah. We're talking about a completely different sale. Selling something, you're selling somebody on a $1,000, $2,000 per month product with no guarantees. And it is completely just an idea. It is information. So it is very, very different. So I would just make sure when you say you're good in sales, that I would want to clarify what that actually means. So I hear that all the time. I'm good at sales. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you have any deals?
Yeah, sell me something.
Tell me something, dog. So why don't you have any deals? Because here's one thing I've also learned. If you look at the two skill sets, you go into your group, Herc, you go into my group and you post and say, hey, I need somebody to help me. I'm going to give 50% of the deal. I need somebody to help me with the technical side. You're going to have 100 people comment, DM me. Do that same thing and say you need somebody to sell your deals. It's going to be crickets because, and you said it earlier, that it seems much easier for people to learn the technical than the sales. So
yeah, that's a huge advantage too for that guy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Let's do this one last question, and then we're going to tell people where they can find you. What's your thoughts on the current state of Google My Business, Google Business Profiles, etc.?
Don't care.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, bro. Expand on that a little bit, because I've literally said this exact same thing. In 2020, when I was scaling up, I bet you 75% of my properties and my deals did not even have a Google My Business. Anyway, talk about that just a little bit.
Was the first part of the question about the new AI engine coming into Google, or are we specifically talking about GBP?
Opinion on GMB. Everyone sees GMB. Everyone sees that it's getting harder to do this and that. I mean, but yeah, just expand a little bit on your thoughts.
Okay. So first of all, I don't do GMB in my business because I never got good at it and I never saw a need to get good at it. I understand the power of GMB. I understand that I can multiply my leads with GMB, but I see not everybody, I see a ton of people chasing this goddamn golden dream with GMB that can evaporate overnight. And they're just wasting time, wasting money, trying to get a GBP because they think it's the holy grail of leads. When it's like, to me, it's like, look, if you build a house, what's the first piece you build? It's the foundation, because the foundation is the thing that's going to last and be strong enough to hold up whatever you put on top of it. So the way that I approach this is I always build an organic ranking site first that generates leads, and then I get a client. That's the foundation. Because once you rank something on Google, typically it's 99% of the time, it's going to stay there for years. It's going to take somebody doing something better than you to knock you down. It's going to stay there for years. Now, if you sign a client and say your site's generating even like 20, 30 leads a month, okay, not even that much. If you sign a client $1,000, $1,500 a month on that, that's foundational. That client's not going to leave for a long, long time because they're happy with the increase in revenue that they're receiving from your property. But now that you have the foundation built with the client, you could do whatever new strategy in the world you want. You can be like, hey, dude, you want to try and get more leads? Yeah, sure. Okay, how about I go run this GMB thing for you? I'm going to chase this little dream of mine that might bring you more leads. Go ahead, dude, do it. Okay, well, if I do it, I'm going to charge you more once it comes. Is that cool? Absolutely. Go. Here's the difference. So when it happens and he gets more leads, he's happy, and then the GMB gets suspended. What does he do? You're like, oh, bummer, man. I'll keep that contract with you for the leads I got. But if they keep coming, great. Now, if you start with a GMB and you sign a client on a GMB and that client loses the leads because it evaporates, you come back to the client, you're like, let me try another thing. And be like, nah, man, you've lost it because you didn't build the foundation first. Okay. So I think it's more important to build a foundation first and then try high risk strategy second, because you won't lose a client because you built the foundation right. And that's always been my take on GMB. And honestly, for the amount of like risk that's involved in GMB and effort and shit like that, I'd rather just build a rank and rent site and just get a client, get them paying $1,000 a month, move on, get another one.
Dude, you anyone that's been following me, like an Aaron Vogler or whatever, that's been listening to all my stuff for months and years, I have been saying damn near that exact same thing. When all this stuff, I don't know when it was, when a couple months back when it started to get tough and they were cracking down, etc. I know everyone was getting upset because they kept asking about GMBs, and I kept saying the same thing. Guys, a lot of my properties never even had GMBs, and I was completely fine. I never pitch it with that GMB. It's always just gravy. And I've always had that same exact thought of like, if it's that easy, everyone's like, well, yeah, but you can get a GMB ranked in 2 seconds. That should be a red flag that it could go just as quickly. Easy come, easy go. I've done the exact same thing. I've always done mine. Now, mine's a little bit different. My quick strategy, as you know, is I use the ads to get those quick leads coming in. Meanwhile, I'm doing the organic, but ranking organically is something like you said, dude. There's sites, I'll be candid. There are sites I don't even know the login for, because they're ranking. I'm like, I don't even want to touch them. They've just been paying me for so long. Why would I mess with it? It's just ranking. So that was a beautiful answer. I've had the same exact opinion. But for those people that are out there, that's their whole strategy. I know there's people out there teaching rank and rent with only using Google My Business, which is terrifying. Terrifying. Anyway, that's great. Okay. Herc, let's talk about where people, if they're like, dude, this guy's my flavor. I like the way that he approaches this. He's been in the game forever. I want more Herc. Let's talk about where they can find more. I know you have a rank and rent program as well. It's called Rank and Rent Club, correct?
Yeah. You can go to rankandrent.club and we'll give you like 4 video training for free based on that strategy of like keyword research, on-page optimization, and then off-page and sales. The only thing I'll say is video 4. I'll tell you right now, it's a sales video and it's outdated. I need to update it, but the first 3 videos are still amazing and they're free. And of course, everybody's selling something. If something's for free, there's something for sale. Okay, I'm going to try and sell you on the membership or Rank and Rent Club. And just to like lay it all out on the line right now, our Rank and Rent Club comes with all our training, access to our live master case class studies, and 4 pieces of software that we developed to do rank and rent specifically. The other software I've been talking about today is called Xagio, Xagio.net. And then the other one is Keyword Supremacy. That's the keyword research tool. We have other softwares, but they're not as core fundamentally as those. The training program and the 2 softwares are pretty much the meat and potatoes of what I do.
And just so everybody knows, when I asked Herc to come on the show, this I'm just plugging his stuff. If you guys want to go check that out, I encourage you to. He has got a ton of experience, guys. This isn't like an affiliate deal where I'm making a percentage. I don't want that. I want you guys to be exposed to other people in the industry that have different experience, that have, different niche ideas. And I think this only helps. This is a huge industry. This is coming back to me really having an abundance mindset. Is I could sit here and go, well, I don't want to plug any of his stuff because that might be somebody that was going to buy my shit. It's like, no, dude. Like, that's not the case. So guys, I encourage you, go to rankandrent.club, check Herc out. I'm not mistaken, you have a free Facebook group as well, right?
Yeah, we have the free one. I don't even remember. Just search Rank and Rent and we'll come up. We got about 4,000 to 5,000 members in there. I'm not sure the number right now. Okay. Just search Rank and Rent on Facebook.
And what I'll try to do, Herc, is I'll try to have my video guy when we upload this for Rokes. It's live right now. I'll try to do I'll get your links from you. But yeah, guys, go check his stuff out. This is a guy that has way too much experience. I mean, how many years? We don't even know how many years. How many years have you actually been doing Rank and Rent specifically, would you guess?
Probably 7 or 8.
7 or 8 years of specifically. That's about me too. And then I don't know how many more years on top of that with just digital.
Oh yeah, like forever.
I remember when we talked, you're like, dude, I've been doing online stuff before the internet existed. I'm like, I love that. I love it. You're back in the days when it was like freaking dial up, dude. Anyway, okay, let me see if we got anything else going downhill. Going to downhill. Okay, someone's talking about the GMB. Beautiful. The assassin says, yeah, I'm going to stop killing myself to try and get, yeah, guys, I haven't, since the whole whatever with Google and they've changed the name and the whole thing, I have not lost a single second of sleep. I'm just like, dude, I'm going to focus on what I can focus on. You can control what you can control. Let's focus on long-term. Let's focus on organic. Let's focus on building stuff that's going to be there tomorrow and next year, et cetera. So
we're trying to get successful tomorrow.
Exactly. It's
like, it's not an overnight riches thing here. It's like you said, it's a real business. And like GBPs, a lot of people chase that dream because they want to be successful quickly, but you're rolling the dice every single time. You're going to burn out. You're just gambling, and nobody wins at gambling. You win for the short term, but in the long term, nobody wins. The house is always going to win. And that's the rat race with Google My Business. Build a foundation first, and then use that as an additional strategy, as well as what you do, Nick. Like add once you got a client, okay, add in GBP, add in paid ads. Like, you can build the revenue of a happy client, but you cannot build the revenue of a pissed off one.
100%, dude. I love it. Herc, thanks for jumping on, dude. I know you got a newborn. I know you got a million things coming on, and guys, go check out his stuff.